right, good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, May 17th, 2013, and this is Before the First Cup with Jules and Zorie. Good morning, Zorie. How are you?
Good morning.
I didn't think your phone was going to pick up this morning. I was watching it ring and ring and ring, and I thought Skype was going to play Friday games with us, so...
Oh, no.
I'm glad you're here, because I'm still out of it.
No, you probably will be for a while.
Actually, I made it to bed before, I don't know, it was probably before 3, at least. I was busy last night. I'm going to tell you, I wasn't messing around. Actually, I was very far behind on some archiving for YouTube, so I think I whacked out like 7 episodes and started uploading. Now I just need to remember like who the guest was, what the show was about. That's the hard part, but at least I got through a bunch of those. And we were working on Dane's show. Dane Wigington starts a show tomorrow here at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, so that should be great. I think we're almost done with that. I got part of his page done. So we just have to get, like, the blessing on the banner, and we should be good there.
I'll give him a call again this morning. He might have gone to bed by the time I called him last night.
Yeah, it was pretty late. I'm sorry. I was doing a mass catch-up from the last 5 or 7 days with the news. I gotta tell you, I still feel like my head's in a blender. You know,
that foggy feeling?
Yeah, like I haven't been able to absorb yet. Like, okay, I get it, IRS scandal, and they're just spinning out of control now. I need to actually get back. I posted a whole ton of stuff so I could talk about it today because I just couldn't believe all the stuff I was finding.
I know, it leaves your head reeling, you know. I mean, you read one and then another, and they all just seem to start blending together.
You know, I leave for a week, and look at what happens. Barry.
No more vacations for you, girl.
Yeah, no. That's kind of what's happening. I think I'm saturated. I actually hit Pigmine's YouTube page yesterday and just started going from the top down. I'm like, all right, let's just watch them all. And I was doing pretty good until about midnight. And then I got myself all involved in trying to get all these videos done. But that's okay because it's Friday. That means 2 days off, head clear.
Yeah, today's chatter round table.
It is? I don't know if
Friday.
I'll be able to do 4 hours. Sorry.
No, we don't have to do 4. We give them the last hour. Because I can't do 4. I have to go to work.
So that's good.
So it's just do 2.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how I feel. I don't know. We'll see. And there's definitely a few things I want to talk about here this morning. And I do not have a large spider in the bottom of my coffee cup. Anyone saw that ad that I made yesterday? Gross. This is the nastiest looking cup of coffee I have ever seen. I don't know who gave me the idea to put how badly do you want it on the bottom of the picture, but I didn't. I thought that was a little disturbing for first thing in the morning, but
yeah, a little bit. Especially me, since I can't drink coffee now because it's upsetting my stomach, so it's harder and harder to wake up.
Oh no! You know, I quit for a long time. When I went on my big health kick when I got pregnant. Gee, go figure. But one of the things that I found that helped a lot was ice cold water in the morning. And I don't know if that's good, because also nice and warm water in the morning helps. But when I couldn't have my
warm water would put you back to sleep.
Well, it feels good though, even if there's nothing in it. I would squeeze a little bit of lemon in it and just do boiling water in a cup, and it was great.
I'll try that. I have a lemon in there, because man, I wake up and I'm just like in a fog, like you feel.
Yeah, it's before the first cup.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I'm always in a fog when I first get up, and usually I'm pretty crabby, but when I'm on air, I'm kind of forced to be nice.
Aren't we lucky?
Yes, lucky. So somebody dropped this to me the other day, I am not quite sure where I received the story from, but I posted it, and it has gotten a lot of traction because I am pretty certain that most people did not know about this, just like I didn't. But it caught my attention. It says, flashback, Hillary Clinton fired from Watergate investigation for, quote, lying unethical behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't you that dropped that to me, huh?
No, it wasn't me, but I remember that.
Oh, well, I was probably a little too young during Watergate. I remember hearing Walter Cronkite.
You know, the whole thing was on TV. They broadcast.
Yes, I remember. I mean, Walter Cronkite was on every night. I remember watching Vietnam on TV.
Yeah.
And Watergate. Kind of, as they were, you know, trying to impeach him.
And, you know.
And why, but.
Compared to what Obama does, that was nothing. And they didn't that man.
And it was a huge deal, too. I mean, they made it such a big deal that he was, you know, spying and doing secret recordings. And, yeah, when you look back at what happened then, it was so tame as compared to, like, the 22 scandals going on. How many, you know, every day it's like, oh, there's a new scandal in the White House. It's like, how many is that?
How many times has he done things that are treasonous that he should be behind bars for, let alone, you know.
You mean like criminal? Mm-hmm. General Eric Holder?
Right.
Yeah. I'm glad I called him out at the airport. But people shouldn't have moved. They should have asked me questions why I was calling them criminals.
I know, you know, and I was telling a friend of mine about that last night, and he was just cracking up.
You know, I mean, that's just, what's it called? Cognitive dissonance. They just don't want to hear it because everything's good in my world. Everything's messed up everywhere else.
If they pay attention to you, people will think that they're crazy too.
Mm-hmm. So, I just wanted to read a little blurb from this because I thought it was pretty interesting. It says, the now retired general counsel and chief of staff of the House Judiciary Committee, who supervised Hillary when she was working on the Watergate investigation, says Hillary's history of lies and unethical behavior goes back farther and goes much deeper than anyone realizes. Jerry Ziefman, a lifelong Democrat, supervised the work of the 27-year-old Hillary Rodham on the committee. Hillary got a job working on the investigation at the behest of her former law professor, Burke Marshall, who was also Senator Ted Kennedy's chief counsel in the Chappaquiddick affair. Oh! Wow!
And the plot thickens.
Yes! This sounds like a Mae Brussel episode.
It does.
When the investigation was over, Ziefman fired Hillary from the committee staff and refused to give her a letter of recommendation. Only one of the only 3 people who earned that dubious distinction in Ziefman's 17-year career. Why, might you ask? Because she was a liar, quote, right. Ziefman said in an interview last week. She was an unethical, dishonest lawyer. She conspired to violate the Constitution, the rules of the House, the rules of the committee, and the rules of confidentiality. Wow!
Yeah. And, of course, you made it high up in office. You know. The worse you are, the higher you go in this country.
I am going to drop this in chat. Good morning, chatters. There we go. For anyone who's interested, there's actually a long story there, but I was pretty surprised when I saw, I don't know who sent that to me. Somebody dropped that to me the other day, and I was just floored.
Yeah, you know, she's been, remember their, savings and loan, thing too. They had a big,
and all the whole trail of bodies that appeared.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, long trail of bodies. If you were friends with them, man, you better, like Cheney, run for the hills.
Yeah. Wow. One of the things I was going to say, Nick from Anti-Media, after he did his show, what night's the show? On Wednesday night. We chatted for a little bit after the show, and he said, hey, you know that show that you run sometimes, I had said something about May, and he says, "Is that who that is? That woman that you run?" And I said, "Yeah, it was the first time he had heard her." And he says, "My God, I tuned in the other night and I was listening." He says, "I would have sworn she was talking about today." And I was like, "Do you know how many times all of us have said that? Like,
right.
listening, and then for a few minutes you're not sure, is it today or, but I just
thought all the names are the same.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
And it's scandal after lying, after all these, broken laws. They're all criminals.
I just see now, and maybe it was because I was younger then, but maybe somebody out there who's lived a few more years than me, please, has it been this corrupted? Are we just finding out about more, or is it out of control, like the third wheel off and we are rolling down the hill at high speed?
Well, it's always been corrupted, but they just weren't moving so fast and so outwardly.
Yeah, it's all
a thing.
There.
Right. See, this has always been going on. I've been following it. In fact, my dad used to listen to Mae Brussels, and it's been going on all along. It's just now they're blatant about it. They don't care if we know.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to be held accountable for the IRS or the Benghazi. The guy they fired in the IRS was leaving anyway.
Yeah, you told me that. He was actually supposed to be stepping down for retirement, like the beginning of June. And they made it sound like,
they fired him.
They took him out for the bad. What?
And he wasn't even the head guy.
No, and he was actually not even, the main duty was just kind of like sitting in until we actually put someone in there full time. Yeah. But actually I think, my friend mentioned that to me yesterday, that there was an article about the guy retiring, and the only place that I could find that was on InfoWars. So, and Fox. So all I'm going to say to that is, somebody keep their eye out for me. If you guys can find any other proof that this guy was 100% retiring at the beginning of June, I'd like to see that. Not that I don't believe those guys, but,
Yeah, but the woman that was in charge is now, she got, I can't believe how many bonuses in 1 year, outrageous amount, and they have to be approved by the president, and now she's in charge of Obamacare.
Yeah, which, again, they were trying to pass a bill to kill that thing again yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know what happened to that.
I think they would get enough votes now that more and more of it's coming out to, it's just so atrocious.
Well, I found more about the IRS, and I don't know if this has got to be part of the same thing, but I don't know if this part's actually been publicized a lot or not, because this story got a lot of traction, and I had not read this anywhere before. It says IRS sued for improperly seizing the medical records of 10 million Americans.
I've seen that.
Is this a part of the wiretapping?
I don't...
which scandal is this one?
I know. There's so many of them. Well, no, I don't think that was part of the one targeting tax exempts.
Well, it says, amid a firestorm about the Internal Revenue Services targeting conservative groups and wide concerns that the tax service will be administering Obamacare, the IRS is also the subject of a class action lawsuit alleging that 15 of its agents improperly seized 10 million Americans' medical records. Attorney Robert Barnes filed the lawsuit in mid-March on behalf of the John Doe Company and individuals whose records were seized in California's Superior Court, according to a report from the Courthouse News Service. This is an action involving the corruption and abuse of power by several IRS agents, collectively referred to as defendants herein, during a raid of the John Doe Company in Southern California on March 11th, 2011. The complainant, quoted by the Courthouse News, reads, in a case involving solely a tax matter involving a former employee of the company, these agents stole more than 60 million medical records of more than 10 million Americans, including at least 1 million Californians. The complaint explains that there was no warrant authorizing the seizure of the medical records, and the records were not germane to the IRS search. The complaint alleges that the seizure violated the Fourth Amendment according to the extensive quotes from the complaint compiled by the Courthouse News. These medical records contain intimate and private information of more than 10 million Americans, information that by its nature includes information about treatment of any kind of medical concern. And these...
was there an investigation going on or something?
This one guy from this one company, and they stepped in because I guess his medical records were in question, and they scraped 10 million other people's records as well while they were in there. With no warrant, no anything that gave them the rights to do that.
They just said, give them to us, and they hand them over.
Yeah. Well, Verizon, that was another one. Did you see Madison?
Verizon handed them over willingly.
Without question.
Mm-hmm. And if you contact most corporations and anything you sign with them and their privacy thing, it always exempts law enforcement or government. They will not protect you when it comes to those two.
Well, don't you remember when I went on my trip in January? I was in Vegas at Heidi's house, and maybe you don't remember because I probably didn't tell you. It was early in the morning. I was sitting out on the patio, reading a little paper, having some coffee, and I had remembered I'd extended my internet for my trip because I was going to be on the road for a month, right? So I bumped it up to whatever the bigger one was. I think I got the 5 gig internet or something. So it was another like $50, but I was like, whatever. If I need internet and I'm in the middle of the desert somewhere, I want internet. Right. So, I had a certain number of days or whatever though, that if I did not call them up and say, take me back to like my 30 meg trickle.
You get charged again.
I will never be able to go back to my old plan. But yeah, exactly. And they screwed me. And Verizon sucks. Oh, I hate them so much. But long story. But I want to get back to this. So anyway, I called them up and I said, all right, I need, and my calling, I went over calls too, because I only have like 400 minutes. So I called them up. I'm being all nice. I'm like, hey, can you extend my calls? But my internet as of this date, we got to go back. They were really nice, super nice. Not a problem. We'll extend you for, I think they even gave me like, an extra 100 minutes. I only had 2 more days on my billing cycle. So all I needed was like 5 more minutes to call my kid, for bedtime. And, we'll give you an extra 100 minutes for a few days. I was like, all right. They were really nice about that. So I go in online to their little online app to see now what my minutes are, what my internet is. Mm-hmm. It says, we have a new application. Click here to, download. We won't charge you for it, right? They always say that. So I'm like, all right, I click. Because I want to be able to see on my phone if I need to find out how many minutes I have left without a computer, right? So I'm downloading. Okay, yes. Okay, so you're going to conform to our user agreement. Now, remember, we've talked about this before, right?
I don't
sign anything. So I've read every word. So I click the learn more or read this document or whatever it is. I'm reading through it. Guys, if you've never read anything by Verizon, I highly suggest you do if you're a customer. Because by using their application, not even clicking yes, just by using their application, they, by virtue of this document that they had out there for me to click through, gave them 100% access to all my private data on my phone. And not that they don't have it already, but
that makes it legal.
Right, and this was before that whole wireless wiretapping thing got passed. It basically, by me using their online app, which was the app that tells you how many minutes you got left on your phone, so it was nothing special, I was giving them full rights to copy anything. It even said delete stuff. Scan my phone for copyrighted material. Copy, listen. I mean, it was surveillance state USA. I called them back. And I got this youngin' on the phone, and I'm like, dude, have you downloaded on your phone this new app? I don't even remember. It had some fancy name. And he's like, well, we just did a training on it. And I said, did they tell you that this is to get around the surveillance laws? He's like, what? I said, look, I just read everything in this agreement. And it is basically saying I am giving them rights to take all my stuff, get in my phone, delete my pictures, post my pictures on billboards pretty much in China, for baby diaper commercials with pictures of my kid that I don't know that they're out there. And you want me to say okay, and all I want to do is be able to get my minutes. He's like, really? So, I don't know. I think I woke this guy up. I told him he should go to his next staff meeting and start asking about the privacy of the users. I probably got him fired. Sorry.
Well, that is in almost every agreement. And I mean, you go in and read Skype. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing.
I mean, guys, if you just click yes, 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 yes to any of these,
apps.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
See, you're without coffee. I'm already about halfway through. I need a second one, I think. But you're agreeing to things that you normally wouldn't agree to if you knew what you were agreeing to. I highly recommend you read privacy policies. And if you have a problem, call them up and bitch. But the unfortunate fact of the matter is, most of them, you can click no, you don't agree, and the app shuts down. And that's the end of that. You either agree or you don't use it.
And most of the people, when you call in and complain like that, they don't know anything about
He knew nothing. He knew nothing about it. No, he actually was kind of shocked when I was telling him. I started reading statements out of it. He's like, what? I said, yeah. I said, you got a phone? Because I'm sure you do. You're an employee. I said, I highly suggest you go read that and then go asking questions.
Yeah. I have this little program. Every time I have to agree to something, like I'm going to get some software or something, you copy their agreement and you paste it into this and it gets analyzed. And then you give you by a gauge. It's a little app that I have, a little application for on the internet. And it has a scale of things of interest and stuff, and where privacy is involved or third party apps and stuff. And it's really good because you can look through it and it has it all by gauges, how strong it was. Like if it's too long and if certain words are in there and certain points of interest. So I always do that before I click agree. I'll send it to you. I'll find the link to where people can go get it, but it's really, really good. I've not installed a lot of software because of it.
That's good. Unfortunately, I don't really have much of a choice. I have, 12 computers here doing all. I have so much going on.
Yeah, that's true.
I am at the mercy of all those bastards.
Well, too, even if you didn't get the app, they're doing that to you anyway. They're doing that to everybody's phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no right to even think you have any privacy at all.
And I mean, that story, I think actually I marked it as, maybe I didn't. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. It's in the cloud. I would never use the cloud. First time I heard them say, here you can store your stuff online and get to it anytime. And I'm thinking, wow, how many times does the internet go down? What if they don't like what I have on there? Well, I've never used it and I refuse to. I won't.
I was such a brainwashed sucker with technology. I'll tell you what. That's why I do this. I spent the last 25 years looking at that carrot, the dangling carrot of the promise of the future. And when the day I realized I was duped, and I was really good at what I did, guys. I was really good. My salespeople loved me. All of my big municipalities that I did their networks for, they loved me. And you know what? We were all doing it. We all thought we were doing something good. We all felt proud of what we did. And the day that I realized that this was all going to be used against us, I got to tell you, it took me a long time to get over it. This, it became a part of me. Doing technology is what I'm about. I grew up with the promise of Space 1999, and talking computers. And
they're good with their propaganda. What can I say?
Yeah, they sure are. They sure are. I was just trying to find that one about Verizon. It was... I saw it on Madison's page. I don't know if it was one of his or RT's. But basically, Verizon didn't even blink when they were asked for records. They weren't asking for a warrant. They didn't ask for anything. They bent over and they handed all the records over to the feds.
Well, they've been doing that all along. That's why.
Have been. And, somebody was just saying the other day that this is just a new thing. I'm like, no. When I was in technology, and we're talking like even back when we still had the company that I just left, when they still had their internet providership, we had an ISP as well, another division. We were like 4 companies. There were 17 locations. It was a pretty big company, and then we had our own ISP division. And we worked directly with Verizon because we were a Verizon agent. New York State is Verizon land, so that really is for like local long distance at one time. That was all you could buy was Verizon. It was like locked in. Same with like cable companies were the same way. But we did very close business with Verizon. And back then they had departments for law enforcement, where they would come, and there was a department that was dedicated directly to them for when the FBI was doing investigations on people. And I know I can tell you for a fact, just from friends and people that I am well aware of that work for large cable organizations, they have also had law enforcement facilities there for a long time as well. So anyone who thinks that if they click private browsing on your Firefox browser, that that's going to keep away prying eyes, think again. They're watching you, they're logging you, they're bagging you, they're tagging you, and then as soon
and they key log you, everything you type.
Oh, do you know how many people now, too? We were talking about all these finfisher viruses. There was an episode that Kurt and Madison did back in January, which it's up. These are, Madison, if you're out there, I'm working really hard. I only have 2 more episodes to get done for you, and we are caught up for 2013 for his YouTube archives. But there was a show that Kurt was guest on End the Lie in January, and that's what they talked about, was a lot of this government spyware that's been exposed now. There's a company out of, I don't know, somewhere in Europe that's writing all the software, peddling it to the governments of the world, and the governments of the world are eating it up, and they're putting it on our computers. They're all coming in as Trojans, Trojan viruses, right? Backdoor viruses. While I was on this trip, you would not believe how many people had said, I got a Trojan on my machine and I can't delete the files. The same story over and over and over again. I am beginning to think that that might be some of those spyware files that we were talking about with finfisher.
The U.S. is the biggest hacker organization in the world.
Yeah, they are.
They are. And they're putting out virus stuff. I mean, they got Microsoft in their back pocket, and they only hire the best.
Yeah.
And there's backdoors in everything.
Well, not just Microsoft. I mean, now Google got in the game, and they may have been in the game for a long time, and we just didn't know, but now it is blatantly obvious. And I am sorry, but to my one friend who still seems to think that Google is not evil, I'm going to be really nice about it. I know you don't want to think Google is evil, but I just saw another story yesterday. They are just so far down the road of evil, I don't know how you could think that there's even a drop of goodness in them anymore.
Right, I did an article yesterday on Google knows when you're home.
Yes, that's the one. I was thinking on that because I have something about the phones first. But yes, Google knows when you're home. Oh, boy.
Oh, I mean, and I love the picture because it has Facebook. There is a big guy, and then he's just pushing Big Brother aside like, hey, you ain't nothing compared to us.
Well, they are so far in bed with the feds now that it just, I am just floored.
Well, I tell you, them in Bilderberg, they're all joining together, and then it's like these old guys in Bilderberg, they're handing the reins over to the younger ones.
Well, that's what we should be doing. That's why the college kids right now, I'm telling you, the 20-something contingent is the contingent that we need to focus on. And I have to say I'm so pleasantly surprised at how many young people I have been meeting over the last year or
that are awake.
That are awake, yes. It like actually gives me hope that we might turn the tides. But it's that younger contingent. I mean, we can't be doing this forever. It was my generation that helped build all this. I'm going to try to help take it down, give you all the tools, but I don't know if I'm going to be here for the whole thing. Somebody else needs to pick it up and run with it.
Yeah, that's why I love Immortal Technique. Every concert he talks about this with people.
Good.
You know, and I mean to hundreds of thousands of kids, and these kids are listening to the man.
Good. Well,
you know?
Not the man. Listen to the man, Immortal Technique.
Right. Felipe. Yeah. But, it's amazing how many, and I love I'll go on YouTube and go to his, page, and I read the comments a lot, and they're almost all young people, and it really gives you hope when you listen to these young kids talking, and they know what's going on, and they know the government's evil, and they know they have to change things. It's really uplifting.
Well, you know, because the thing is, pretty much, if I were back in college again, I mean, I finished college in the early 90s, and that was right when the first Gulf War broke out. And I remember looking around going, wow, the economy really sucks now. And people are losing their jobs, and we're in the middle of a war. And that was pretty devastating, because really, though we had a few skirmishes up through the 70s and the 80s, there really hadn't been anything like that since Vietnam, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was upset. Yeah. My stomach gets very upset when I get upset. I always had that issue where I would feel like I had the flu if I got upset and stressed out. And I remember being very, very stressed out over Bush and all the bombings and what was going on and the economy. And there was nowhere to turn. There were no jobs. My entire plan, you know, you're young, but you got this plan for yourself. Oh, we just completely smashed it. My life is completely different than what I expected it was going to turn out to be.
Yeah.
But in the end, I see now that it's almost like a repeat of history, except worse. This is worse than 91, guys.
More people are committing suicide now than in the Great Depression.
All right. But also, you know, I did some stuff on this the one day, put together a little, kind of my thoughts on that. I mean, we didn't have all the SSRIs being given out like freaking Pez dispensers, you know, so that coupled with the bad situation, and then, I mean, I took that Chantix, and I'm telling you, that caused some weird-ass things to happen in my head.
I've never taken them, but...
First time I took it, I was fine. Second time I took it, I had this whisper, nobody cares. It kept telling me, nobody cares. What does it matter?
Wow.
No, it was pretty scary. I realized it right away, too, and I stopped it. I told my doctor, I'm like, you know what? You shouldn't be giving this shit to anybody. It was putting voices in my head, and I said, thank goodness that I have a head on my shoulders. I knew what was going on. I was like, all right, there's enough of this shit.
Wow, you were really, your thoughts were being
I had voices
changed.
in my head telling me that it was okay because nobody cared. Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird? I mean, that a drug could just change your whole outlook?
Well, not only that, but the other thing about Chantix, in the beginning I thought it was cool because it was like a really wicked buzz. You had like this blending between your awake state and your sleep state, and the dreams were so incredibly vivid that they were real. I mean, you could smell things and touch things. It was really amazing. And the problem was when you'd wake up, you were never really sure if it happened or not. And so you'd be kind of looking around in the morning and you're like, wow. I mean, you really were having trouble like determining what was real and what wasn't. And then the voices started. And there was, really, it messed with my head big time. And the first time I took it, it didn't. It did not bother me at all. I was really happy. I quit smoking, no problem. It was beautiful. Till I fell off probably 6 months later. But
wow,
the second time it started right away too. Just the weird stuff with my head. So
well, I've seen people go through changes when, I go, what's with you? How come you're acting so weird? And they'll go, well, my doctor has me on this or that. And, I've seen it, but I guess you don't understand it unless you've gone through it. It just blows my mind that, you could be sitting there thinking thoughts like that. I mean, where do they come from?
It was like someone was whispering in your ear. Seriously, like, I don't know. It was the freakiest thing ever. But, I have a munchkin, and I would hate to think if I didn't have a child, it probably would have been different, because you don't have that. At least I didn't.
Responsibility.
Yeah, and I had always thought, too, I was single. I didn't have any kids for many, many, many years. So I went out and had fun, guys. There was nothing holding me back. So I came to the conclusion that, if it happens, hey, I lived a good life. It was pretty exciting.
Right.
But once you have a child, you're going to be sticking it out to the end as bleeding fingers. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you would do anything to make sure that you were here to protect your baby. And so now the story is completely different. So the second that happened to me, I knew to turn it off. But if I had been alone and sad and depressed and whatever, who knows?
Or how about a young kid that couldn't understand all that?
Mm-hmm.
Or those ones that go kill the school. Yeah. Maybe, voices told them everybody hates you and they're going to kill you if they get the chance.
I'm telling
you. So you kill them first.
It's very possible. And I've never been on SSRI. I'm not exactly sure what Chantix is. I know that it messes with your brain chemistry. I know that it uses, there are, just like you have cannabinoid receptors in your brain, there are also receptors in the brain that take in the nicotine, and I am pretty certain that it's the same receptors that react to like cocaine addictions and that. And so that's what they are playing on with the Chantix.
Wow.
And pretty much whatever that chemical is that's in there, and I used to know what it was called, but I haven't paid any attention in quite a while to that. Whatever that substance is that's in the Chantix, it pretty much does what the cannabinoids do for the nicotine receptors. Yeah. It goes in there and it replaces the nicotine, so you feel like that you've been satisfied for your addiction and aren't craving it. But whatever these things are, they also mess with your brain chemistry and start making voices appear. So not a good thing. Cold turkey, lock yourself in a room for 2 days, punch a pillow, scream, kick on the bed. I think that was probably the most successful quitting attempt I ever had. And make sure you have a boyfriend that you really hate.
Yeah.
Who really pissed you off and you are ready to chuck his ass out the door. I did that once.
Make his life miserable.
I quit smoking once just because I was done. And I was like, man, I'm going to open a can of whoop ass like you have never before seen. And I cold turkey and waited about 24 hours and then showed up. Oh, goodness. Oh, yes. I will give you one other little detail. There was a computer that ended up being dismembered piece by piece with my bare hands. Component by component. Oh, your $300 video card. Wham. Oh, all right. I won't say anything.
Oh my God.
I'm a very nice person, but just
can we turn you loose on the government? Can we turn you loose in Congress when you try and quit smoking?
Yeah. Oh God. I am a nice person. I just.
Yeah.
This show is therapy for me. I get it all out, and by the time the show is over, I'm like a purring little kitty cat.
Because you're wore out.
Yeah. All right. So there was another story. This one was from RT. Cell phone users, quote, have no legitimate expectation of privacy. And this was per a judge.
Yep.
A federal judge recently ruled that if someone has their cell phone turned on, so turning your cell phone on pretty much allows them to take all your rights away, their location data does not deserve to be protected under the Fourth Amendment, meaning that now law enforcement can track individuals without a search warrant at all. Yep. And this was in New York. More New York killing laws. New York Magistrate Judge Gary Brown decided in favor of the DEA agents who were seeking his approval over a warrant on a doctor they suspected was being paid for issuing thousands of prescriptions. The warrant would have compelled the physician's phone company to provide real-time tracking from the cell. Brown, certainly to the delight of police, issued a 30-page brief outlining his opinion that by carrying a cell phone, someone is essentially waiving their Fourth Amendment rights to due process. Guys, what?
Yep.
This is crazy. So I have a cell phone. Now, I keep my geolocation turned off, at least as far as I know, and as far as the app goes. I can pretty much bet you that there is some other GPS data in there that I don't know about, because there have been times when I've gone to Google and it knows exactly where I am. You know, when I go searching for something like, I don't know, I need a phone number or whatever, and it brings up places locally to me, or it brings up my local weather that I didn't put in there. So
Right.
I'm assuming that they are tracking my location some other way if I have the GPS turned off. So I just want to read this little blurb by the judge. Quote, given the ubiquity and celebrity of geolocation technologies, an individual has no legitimate expectation of privacy in the perspective of a cellular telephone where that individual has failed to protect his privacy by taking the simple expedience of powering it off.
Yeah.
So guys, I guess.
And that doesn't work either. You have to literally take the battery out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do the battery.
Mm-hmm.
So I will drop this one in chat for everyone. And just on a daily basis, it just increases. You know what? I'm in chat. I'm going to say hello. Let's see who's here. So we have Art. Good morning, Art. Ben, Fred, Jimmy, Jax, Mike. Of course, Zorie. Zorie's on with me. Pioneer Woman, good morning. I'm glad to hear you made it back. Vince, Iota, listener, Keb, and my two Anons. We went from 1 to 2. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you're here.
Good morning.
This makes my morning every morning. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. I know I say that, but it's true. I would be sleeping if it wasn't for you guys.
Yeah, me too.
There was one other thing. This was an older story, but I talked about the spyware earlier and the Finfisher. I did a couple searches because there were some new details coming out about the spyware they've been finding on everyone's computers. And I discovered that these two guys, and I don't remember their names, but they had started a group called citizenlab.org. One of the guys was actually an employee of Google that started waking up to what was going on. So he created this whole other site, and they built a few applications to try to track back where all the spyware on people's machines were coming from. So it says, the title of this article was The Smartphone Who Loved Me, Finfisher Goes Mobile. Earlier this year, which this was 2012, Bahraini human rights activists were targeted by an email campaign that delivered a sophisticated Trojan. In From Bahrain with Love, Finfisher's Spy Kit Exposed, it was a story that they did, we characterized the malware and suggested that it appeared to be FinSpy, part of the Finfisher commercial surveillance toolkit. This is the stuff that Madison and Kurt talked about in that episode from January. Mm-hmm. We characterized the malware and suggested that it appeared to be FinSpy, part of the toolkit, blah, blah, blah. Vernon Silver concurrently reported our findings in Bloomberg, providing background on the attacks and the analysis and highlighting links to the Finfisher's parent program, Gamma International. Look them up, Gamma International. After these initial reports, Rapid7, a Boston-based security company, produced a follow-up analysis that identified apparent Finfisher command and control servers on 5 continents. So these are going to be main servers that are collecting all of your communications, whether it be key logs, voice calls, emails, texts. This right here, this rootkit, is on your phone. Mm-hmm. This representative spoke with Bloomberg and the New York Times. That was the story that those guys read and the show went off about, and denied that the servers found in, I guess, 10 countries, 5 continents, were instances of their product. Following these analyses, we were contacted by both the security and activist communities with potentially interesting samples. From these, we identified several apparent mobile Trojans for the iOSs for Android, BlackBerry, Windows Mobile, and the Symbian platform. So, guys, they are all infected. All of our phones are infected.
Well, I got real suspicious when the 2YK happened. Everything was going to crash at the end of the year. Now, I knew this wasn't going to happen because I've been working computers so long. But, they gave out software to all these countries, and I forget who it was. 2 of them held out till almost days with them. But then they sent the software to them too. Now, I always thought, what a way to get your software into all these other countries' computer systems. And I think they did.
I don't know. I was also working in technology riding up to Y2K, and that was a big moneymaker, I could tell you that.
It was a moneymaker, but
there was a big issue with export. You could not export anything with encryption over 40-bit to a foreign country. Russia was a big concern because all their missile systems were only done with 2 digits in the date. So they were afraid if they rolled over to, it would have been 1900, that it would have maybe messed up the launch clocks or whatever. But I don't remember.
I mean, look at all the money they made.
Oh, it was hardware upgrades galore.
Man.
Yeah, and it was, Bill Clinton was in office still, and the money was just rolling in. Working in technology in the 90s was big time.
Microsoft developed the software, and they were already sold out, to send out to everyone to fix the computers so they wouldn't have a problem.
I don't remember there being software. It was a hardware fix. If your BIOS was bad, there was nothing you could do. It was a computer buying frenzy. Desktops were flying off the shelf. But I remember there being a software for it because it was BIOS based. You were talking like hard code that your date wouldn't roll.
Right. Well, I don't know. There was something because Microsoft was involved in it. And I remember a couple countries, Korea and somewhere else, that held out until the last minute and then caved in. I remember, I'll go back and find it, but I just, figured what a way, to get in the back door of all the countries because it was supposed to affect everyone worldwide.
Well, here's something that I remember specifically about Microsoft, and this was long before Bill Gates had actually turned evil, though maybe he was evil. Ow. And as I'm slipping on my chair, I almost fell off.
I don't think he was before the antitrust.
No, I didn't either. Actually, I thought he was the savior, to be honest. I was like, oh, he's going to help the world all speak one language. It was pretty incredible. And I was like, wow, this little dude who started in his garage, like before I even knew that he stole everything and whatever. He's a dirty little bastard to begin with. But I really thought, Bill was the man. We worshipped him. Anything that Gates said, I listened to, and I listened very closely. And I would collect pictures when I'd see him in the news. We had this whole directory of all these Bill Gates pictures. And I gotta say, he really amused me because he would go to all these heads of states and you would see Bill shaking hands with, the president of Russia, or shaking hands with the head of China, or shaking hands with the head of Saudi Arabia. He did not go to the beat of anybody's drum. And the president, and I think at the time it was Clinton, then it became Bush. Bush did not like that. Bush did not like Gates one-upping him and being friends with all these leaders of states that looked down on Bush because he yacked in someone's lap at a state dinner, right?
Oh, I remember that.
Or he made some dumbass comment. He looked like a buffoon. Bill Gates, man, he was like the emissary. And I loved it. I was like, yes, the techie geeks unite. We're taking over the world. Bill had an in with everywhere. And it was not through our government. He did that on his own. He rolled out Microsoft software on desktops of the world.
Yep.
And then there was the antitrust lawsuit. And that's when it all changed.
And now, really, it probably brought Bill out to his really true self. Out because he stole all that shit and stuff. So,
what?
Bill Gates.
What do you mean?
It let him be himself out in the open, rotten.
I don't know. I don't know if he started out rotten. I mean, he was young. He was, I don't even know how old he was when he started Microsoft, but it was the 70s. He was young.
Yeah, young, yeah.
70s to 80s with his Altair, whatever. There was a little kit. And anyone ever see Pirates of Silicon Valley? Great movie if you never did. I've watched it a few times. It was a total cult classic. Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, but when you're a kid, you don't know any better. And
That's true.
You're all about getting ahead, and you don't know about interrelations as well as you do when you get older and how important it is.
Especially to get hit with that much money.
Right.
So
right. And then you do dumb things. You buy fast cars. What do I call it? Beer, booze, and babes. That's what happens. That's what happens to people who have a lot of money and sometimes haven't built their moral compass yet. Huh?
Dressed upon them real fast.
Right.
Not like you grew up with money and all of a sudden you just have all the money in the world.
Right. That's why lottery winners typically end up poor and homeless. Yeah. Because, easy come, easy go.
Right, I'm going to live.
When you work for it, I'll tell you what, when you work your ass off for it for 30 years, you better believe it squeaks out, number one. I squeak, wee. But number two, you're very careful of what you spend it on. When I spend my money, it's something that I've thought about pretty extensively, and there's always got to be a purpose for it. It can't just be some frivolous idea. Well, maybe every once in a while.
Yeah.
But then that usually involves spring. Foolhardiness. When I start to smell spring, then maybe I'll be a little foolhardy. But anyway, so Bill, I don't know how we got on Gates, but it did start a long time ago. I don't think Bill was evil to begin with. I think he is now. Again, I'm going to say it. One of these days, we are going to go out there. I don't know today, though, because I have other stuff I want to talk about. But we are going to go out to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation website, and we're going to read some of their projects that have been executed, because I think you will be very shocked.
Oh, they are involved in so much.
Yeah, and they have they've rolled out so much that just seems like it shouldn't be happening.
And they've killed so many people over in Africa. It's appalling. In fact, they just
seen any proof of that, but I haven't seen any proof of that. But I'm sure with the vaccines, it probably has caused problems.
Yeah, and paralysis. I mean, that's where they do a lot of their testing is over there.
Well, they're doing it all here now.
Well,
we're fast-tracking the FDA since that quote-unquote pandemic. We don't need to do R&D now. We're the R&D.
That's true.
Here is, my computer. I don't know. Every time I start getting rolling and I try to talk, my stories don't want to load. Yeah, actually, there were a ton of stories that came out yesterday that I wanted to hit this morning. So I see where we left off yesterday. So this Aaron Swartz, he was the creator of Reddit? No. Wait, is that what he created? What was the app that Schwartz created? He was the activist that they hit up for taking the documents from the university's paper system out of their, what's it called? When you write your educational papers and they're in that system. And he was going to publish some of them, and the feds came in and they said, no, we are going to take you to prison for 30 years, and we're going to put you on trial and make you an example. Yeah. And he committed suicide. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this actually came from Mr. Rob Chowda. I saw him post this yesterday, so I shared it out. The New Yorker unveils a new open source whistleblower system designed by activist Aaron Swartz. So Aaron Swartz is coming back with a big FU from the grave. Thank you, Aaron. The New York Magazine on Wednesday unveiled a new online system for anonymous whistleblower tips based on technology developed by the late internet activist Aaron Swartz and a former hacker. The system, called Strongbox, was unveiled amid an uproar in the news media over the U.S. government's seizure of phone logs from the Associated Press in a probe of a news leak which officials said threatened national security. So this morning, the New Yorker launched Strongbox, an online place where people can send documents and messages to the magazine, and we, in turn, can offer them a reasonable amount of anonymity, said senior editor Amy Davidson. The underlying code, given the name Dead Drop, will be open source, and we are very glad to be the first to bring it into our world fully implemented. Schwartz, an activist who committed suicide in January as he faced potential prison sentences for breaking into a university research database, developed the system with Kevin Poulsen, a former hacker who is now an editor at Wired magazine. Yeah!
Right.
The New Yorker said the system was designed to avoid putting media organizations at the center of investigations of news leaks. Very good. Readers and sources have long sent documents to the magazine and its reporters, from letters of complaint to classified papers. But over the years, it has also become easier to trace the senders. Strongbox addresses that. And it's set up, when it's set up, even we won't be able to figure out where the files sent to us come from. And if anyone asks us, we won't be able to tell them. So
that explains the AP getting all that, seizing all the emails and everything, trying to find out. Good thing for us, you know, because now we got the news people on our side.
Yep. That story was on Raw Story from the 15th, if anyone's looking for it. It was titled, New Yorker unveils open source whistleblower system designed by activist Aaron Swartz. I dropped the link into chat. So that is a big one-up for us, guys. Actually, it made me happy. I'm very sorry that Aaron Swartz is no longer with us, but I am glad that they were able to put some of his work into good use. And just like May speaking from the grave, May's giving him the big middle finger too. I love it. And Mr. Bill Cooper.
Oh man, my computer just froze up.
Ooh, there we go. Well, I have another one. I thought this was pretty funny. You might appreciate this. Though mine is doing the same. Oh, here we go. The title of this one is Tea Party Group sends IRS a copy of the Constitution when asked for reading materials. Says when the IRS targeted an Ohio woman's Tea Party organization and asked her to send the agency the books the group read in 2010, she sent them a copy of the Constitution. Now, first of all, the fact that the IRS, and I talked about this, and I really think that was why my tax return was being held up, guys. And notice, just as the scandal broke, all of a sudden, my tax return was in, ready status, and I had a date. And up until that point, it had said no estimate. It had been ticking down until whatever they said, everyone gets their return in 12 days or whatever. And once that date had passed, my date turned to no estimate. Received, they hadn't even been working on it and they've been sitting on it for a month. So I am pretty sure that they were looking at my book about the Federal Reserve I just purchased, my plane ticket I just purchased, who I was going to visit. I am positive that is why my money was being held up. So then the scandal breaks. All of a sudden, man, it is slipping through like butter. It's supposed to happen today. 2 days. Boom, it's done. It is approved, it's looked at, and it's in my account. Come on.
And now you know why. Yep.
So, anyway, yes, apparently they asked this woman what books her Tea Party read in 2010. This woman's name was Marion Bauer. She said that the IRS targeted her organization in 2010, and it took nearly 2 years for the Internal Revenue Service to approve her requested tax-exempt status. I wasn't requesting.
Right, they were asking all kinds of personal questions and questions that they had no business asking.
Oh, yeah.
And intimidation, yeah.
I mean, I don't know why they even think that they would have any rights to that information, honestly.
I know.
Says she sent the IRS a paperback copy of the Constitution when asked by the agency for books and other reading material. The 68-year-old Ohio woman founded American Patriots Against Government Access, or PAGE for short, in 2010, and her group, quote, consisted of volunteers who routinely passed out copies of the Constitution at parades and had informational meetings on anything from healthcare law to disaster preparedness. So, whoa, terrorist. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah, it is.
Making sure people understand their rights under our Constitution makes you a target for
You're a terrorist, yep.
Unreal.
You know, I mean, it's like the Constitution is in non-existence now.
Yeah, I honestly think that that's one of the reasons why they decided that they don't want to teach cursive anymore. If you want to know my...
So they can't read the original?
Can't read it, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's written in another language. That's all they got to tell them.
Well, they don't even teach it in school anyway, now anyway.
No, I teach it at home.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't write in it a lot. I actually have, well, maybe. I'm looking at all my little index cards laying around here. I do like a mix between cursive and printing, my own special Jules mix of writing. But you know what? I find that especially in the days when I'm feeling creative, cursive is pretty nice. It helps get the left side working.
I used to love calligraphy. I have all kinds of calligraphy pens, the fountain, the whole thing. I did a lot of calligraphy. I don't know what
happened to mine. I used to actually do wedding invitations back when I was in college for people. I had a little thing going on for a little while.
Yeah, I did business cards for people, and I would do a lot of calligraphy and signs for stores. Oh. You know, it's nice to be able to do that. You know, it's very elegant.
Yeah, it is. And again, I don't know, the creative side of the brain, I like it. I have to toggle between creativity and scientific. Otherwise, I get highly bored. But when you mix the two together, it works out well.
When Mother's Day came, I haven't done this in a long time, but I go out and I get weeds. Uh-huh. You know, and it's amazing because I got all these spray paints, real pretty colors. And I spray paint these weeds, and they just look beautiful. And I put them together with some silk plants and make arrangements, and everybody loved them. I used to do this I like taking what people think is ugly and make it pretty. It's just a thing I have. But anyway, they all loved them. So
I just like things that are disturbing that I find, I don't know. There's this one page on Facebook called The Macabre and the Beautifully Grotesque, I believe it is. And yes, some of them are pretty grotesque, but there are a few, like they feature artists from all over the world from all time periods. And there were a few that really surprised me that how beautiful they were. But there was this one, I think it might have been a knight, maybe, but it had like this head with the tongue sticking out, and it was cut off, and it was stuck on the end of a sword, and he's on this horse, and he's riding, but the colors in this painting were like deep reds and beiges and golds and browns, and it was just done like very medievally. It was so beautiful, but I was really afraid to post it because people were like, Jewel, why are you posting like some dude with a head stuck on the end of a sword?
But yeah, the colors can do amazing things. You know, I kind of got away from my creativity, but this brought me back into it, and so now I'm really, I like it. I missed it. I didn't know how much I missed it.
You have to waffle. I waffle. Yeah. Sometimes I just have to turn everything off and start mixing music or working on a collage or doing something.
Yeah, something to get back to your creative self, because that's very vital to your well-being in my book.
I think so. Yeah. And just shutting everything else off.
And you have to, especially doing this. Mm-hmm. Especially doing this when there is so much sadness and cruelty and evil. I think it enriches your heart, brings your heart back to do something creative and, you know,
That's one thing I would like to say, actually, to the group that is listening right now. I've seen some comments in different chat rooms, like people getting all freaked out. Where's JJ? Where's Kurt? Where's Christina? I have to say this. What we do here on a daily basis is really hard. And dealing with what we deal with on a daily basis is really hard. And sometimes people forget we have real lives besides what we do here. And we do this for nothing. You know what I mean? It's not like anybody's making any money or getting paid. We make time to do this, and we make it a priority in our lives. But sometimes you just got to step away because you start to lose yourself, and you start to lose your happiness, and you start to really question, you know, what's important to you, and you start to feel sad about things, and you start to feel like you're not spending enough time with your family. So, guys, any of these people that have taken time off, even Brandon's taken some time off. I mean, we have a lot of shows right now that are on hiatus. Some people have given me things to run, some haven't. So we're running something else in their place. Nobody is gone permanently. People are just on hiatus, and you know, it's been pretty tough. I mean, we're already in May. It's been 5 months full tilt, at least. I mean, if there are some people that haven't stopped since we at least started this in July of last year when we launched it. You know, I've taken 2 breaks already, 6 weeks the first time and a week the second time. So just be aware. I know from your perspective, you guys, you know, you listen, but when you're actually in the middle of it and all the other responsibility, your archives and prepping for a show and trying to be there every week and juggling your personal life just to be able to do this. And then, God forbid, something happen in your personal life where you have a catastrophe and you don't even want to deal with this, but then you're obligated. You know, it gets really hard. So I just want to make that clear. Nobody is gone. There are some people that needed some time off, and I have no issues with that. I'm like, take whatever you need. And you know what? If someone comes back to me and decides they don't want to do this anymore, I won't hold that against them either, because I've admitted this before.
It's understandable.
There have been a few times that I was ready to just chuck it and say,
yes, she was.
I want to go back and I want to go sit on my mountain somewhere all by myself. And
when she came back from her trip.
Yeah.
When you came back from your trip. Yeah, you were ready to.
I almost tossed it all in and said, why? Yeah. You know, I lived in the Matrix for 5 weeks. It was happy there. At least when I didn't pay attention. If I didn't watch news, it was like the old days.
Right.
Then I came back and I started to see again reality, and I'm like, oh, I cannot leave this.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that, though. So just cut everybody some slack, you know. And then, like I said, there are some people that, you know, when Oracle went down, there were a few people who decided they didn't want to do this anymore. I don't hold that against them either. That was a way out, and hey, and they always know that if they want to come back, they have a place here. So,
and I'm sure they will. Like everyone, I quit paying attention for about 2 years.
Did you?
I got into such a depression because all you do, you're researching, and before long, you see you don't have no life.
Exactly. And it does. It can take over your life. Guys, I am very, very fortunate that I get 4 hours a day to go upstairs. And that's all I get. You know, I am here. When I start the show, I literally just rolled out of bed. That's why the show's called Before the First Cup. And I am down here until 3:45 in the afternoon every single day until I have to go up and be mom. And then I am upstairs until about 8 o'clock at night when then mom can be turned off and I can come back down here and I can start
working again.
Yeah, shift number 2. And sometimes shift number 2 goes from 8 o'clock at night until 5 o'clock in the morning, depending on what I got to get done. So, you know, Monday through Friday, I have no life. And then Saturday, we now have shows running Saturday and Sunday, so I'm down here again. I used to just run May and Bill on the weekends, so I could just say screw the network for the weekend and go do something. You know, but it's good. We have a couple shows now, both on Saturday and Sunday. By the way, I'm going to remind you again, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, Dean Wigington's first episode of his new show is starting here tomorrow.
And it's going to be loaded. He's been talking to senators. He had a guy out here from New Jersey. That's why he couldn't get back to me for 2 days, showing him all this. Yeah, he's just like, this man is going gung-ho.
He's on fire.
He is on fire.
Well, good. Then I'm super psyched. I do not have his page enabled yet. I don't think. No, I didn't. I was working on getting his banner. I got to get their bio and their links up in the chat, and then I will cut that over today at some point this afternoon, and I have a conversation with his technical guy and his host, Russ, after 2 o'clock today. So we're going to get the last of that all squared away.
Yeah, you're not going to want to miss this show. He's moving into Congress now, hitting them up, different senators, and waking them up, and they're just shocked.
Yeah, and Dane's got lots of evidence, too, and he's got lots of scientists behind him. So, guys, this is going to be a really, really good thing. Knock on wood. We're going to blow some doors off of things, but let's just hope that we don't become the subject of attacks again. I really can't stand that. I don't know. I need to contact my friend. Her son actually just graduated from a big technical college here locally as a security specialist. So another youngin', just fresh out of school, and he's chomping at the bit, and he actually told her that he wanted to help us. So I need to, now that the semester is finishing up and finals are almost over, I need to hit him up and see if he wants to do a little internship with UCY.
Right. I kind of fear for Dane. He's stepping on some big toes.
I know. I hope he's careful, as we all should be, by the way. Always keep eyes in the back of your head and be paranoid. I used to think that I was paranoid, but it's actually worked well for me. Because all of my paranoia, most of it ended up to be real. It wasn't
always listen to that gut feeling, because that gut feeling is telling you something.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm looking forward to Saturday. I think it's going to be a great, great show.
Yes, I am very excited. I am very excited that he's going to be here and that he likes UCY.
Yes, he does.
He likes Zorie. He's friends with Zorie.
Yeah.
And we've had him on a few times. He's done interviews on Kurt's show. He did, I think he was on Jimmy's show once, right?
He's been on all kinds.
He's on Manson's a few times.
Yeah, he's been on Jones. He's just been on all kinds of talk shows that that aren't related.
He was on, what's his name? Rents, right? Alex Jones. And what was the other one just recently? Coast to Coast.
The Coast he's been on. The man's everywhere.
Yeah, so he'll become part of our team.
Take 2 hours out and come talk to us.
Yeah, so that'll be great. So it starts tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm looking very forward to it. So there was a story that I found yesterday that was a picture of cops arresting a child. There was a little kid, he probably looked like he was 10 or 12, in handcuffs, and they were putting this kid into a police car. So that caught my attention. And when I clicked on the image, it actually, someone had done some research. I love when I see things like this, because it means that, people are just sitting back and not just shuffling news around. People are actually researching things. And basically what they did was they went through the last year or so and found 19 cases that they documented with numbers, short descriptions, and then at the bottom they actually referenced all the links to all these stories of children being arrested for
as young as 5 years old.
Yes, in schools, no less. I was very disturbed by this. And, maybe I'll share this on My Brother's Keeper or...
hey, one cop broke this girl's arm because she didn't pick up all the crumbs from her cake that fell down.
Did you see that post? Is that the one you're talking about? Or did you?
It's in that list. Yeah. And I had seen it. Yeah, I seen it when it happened too. And it's outrageous. It is disgusting. One kid, 7 years old, the school wanted him arrested for sexual harassment until the cop said you can't arrest a 7-year-old for sexual harassment. But the whole family had to move to another city.
It's unbelievable. I mean, a 6-year-old girl in Florida sent to a mental facility after throwing temper tantrums at her elementary school.
Yep. And a little girl that kissed a boy during PE got arrested. Oh. You know, I mean, it's just appalling. And these people are teaching our children.
And the parents, though, I mean, do you know what kind of a stink I would make in the media if something like that happened to my kid? What, 7-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds should not be arrested.
No.
I don't care what they did.
Felonies. One kid is facing 3 felony charges, and I think he's only 9 years old. People.
Oh, no. Are you talking about the 11-year-old in
I'm
Florida?
talking about the one that brought the plastic knife to school.
Yeah, 3rd-degree felony for bringing a plastic knife.
Yep. I mean, you know, that stays with you your whole life.
Yeah, that's very disturbing. 6-year-old boy sexual battery for inappropriate touching during a game of tag.
Right. And it was his friend that he touched, and his friend didn't say anything. It was the teacher seen it.
Oh, my God.
That's the family that moved.
Police recently sent out to collect an overdue library book from a 5-year-old girl.
Yep.
This is just insane. I don't know. I know most of you don't have Facebook. This was a Facebook post that one of the pages I subscribed to put together, but I believe... Yeah, you can see it. It's actually in my feed off to the left-hand side. It's the
I don't go to Facebook either. I forget where I've seen it. But yeah,
it's on the UCY on our Before the First Cup page in the news feed. I'm actually sucking that feed out of Facebook so people could access news I post there for the show if they are not on Facebook. So
right.
It should be right over to the side. Yes, like you. I see JJ is in the room. Good morning, JJ.
Hey, JJ.
Good to see you. Oh, so where do we go from here? I don't know. You know what? It should be Roundtable Friday, Caller Friday. Anybody wants to call in, feel free. I got the phones here at my desk. 718-717-8296. We have about 45 minutes left. When do you have to go to work?
Right. I have to, at 8, I have to start getting ready. So I'll be here until 8.
Okay. So I don't know, if we get a crowd and there's a bunch of other people that feel like hanging out for another hour, maybe we'll go an hour, but I need to get cracking on, getting Dane's stuff ready to rock and roll, this afternoon.
Yeah, and I'm going to call him as soon as we get off the show too about the picture and see if it's okay, and then that'll help.
Good. I could actually make a few more revs on that header, too, if he wants. Here's one more story. This was from Madison. I posted this yesterday. So we talked about Monsanto, the march against Monsanto. For anyone that didn't hear it, antimedia.org has started their whole so they were very surprised that it's gone global, but it was in over 41 countries now, almost 400 cities. So anyone who hasn't checked it out yet, they've been very organized. There are lists of every place that it is going on. Organized marches, May 25th. It is at march-against-monsanto.com. Under events, you can find out what's going local. Like Jimmy and Zorie were saying yesterday, you don't have an event, man, make a sign, go stand in front of the grocery store, get on a corner.
Right. You want people everywhere they turn, they're going to see a sign. I think it's better to do it that way than to get in a big crowd unless you have speakers. But, you know, everyone gets to see you then, not just the people that are going by where the big thing's going on. But, you know, get out on your corner for an hour, 2 hours. Hold that sign up.
Right. Use pictures, graphics that'll catch attention. I'm sure that a lot of people don't know who Monsanto is. Any of the people that are asleep. And if they did know, they would be really shocked. Who wants a chemical company making their food?
And this is going to make people go look and find out. Well, they'll get home and go, well, let's see what this Monsanto thing's about.
Let's search Monsanto. Who are they? Yeah. So this story was a little bothersome, titled, Supreme Court Sides with Monsanto, backs patents on, quote, self-replicating technology. Now, we all love self-replicating technology.
Mm-hmm. Nanotechnology.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Those nanobots. Oh. It says the Supreme Court unanimously backed patents on self-replicating technology like Monsanto's Roundup Ready soybeans on Monday, and along with it backed the controversial licensing agreement preventing farmers from using seeds more than once. So lock, stock, and barrel, you have a seed that cross-pollinates with something else, bam, you got a lawsuit from Monsanto because now you owe them money for their patent.
Right.
This comes not even 2 months after Congress passed the so-called Monsanto Protection Act, which later was signed into law by our fearless leader and king, Obama.
Wasn't that during the Boston bombing, too?
It might have been.
I think it was.
Just like the NDAA was signed while we were all partying New Year's Eve last year.
And then usually he disappears. But...
Yeah, and then uses RoboPen. Actually, that was the extension of the Patriot Act. He did that. He was in Australia. One senator even apologized for the Monsanto Protection Act after public outcry. Gee, why'd you sign it then, buddy?
Right.
Read it first, maybe?
Yeah, that's why it's so important for a downsizers bill, which is in front of Congress still, one subject at a time. And that they have to read the bills. I was almost floored when this one senator during testimony at a committee said, you can't expect us to read the bills. And I just sat there and I went, excuse me, I thought that's what your job was.
Yeah. And that's why you get to insider trade, dude, because you're reading the bills. At least you thought. Jules for Congress. I want to insider trade.
That'll go great. Can't wait.
I want to get rich like you too. I'm gonna
That's
do
like
it,
that
guys.
Pat Robertson telling his flock of followers that God talked to him and said he wanted him to have this much money by this amount of time, and so everyone send me your money. You remember that?
No, I don't.
Oh God, yeah. And people were sending them all their money. It just blew my mind. Pat Robertson. Yep.
Well, maybe we should start a campaign. Send me all your money.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah, I want to be rich.
I don't want anybody's money, honestly.
I don't either.
No.
Yeah.
So anyway, this lawsuit, it says, the court ruled against a 74-year-old Indiana farmer, Vernon Hugh Bowman, who signed contracts pledging to not save seeds from his crops, guaranteeing that he had to buy new seeds every year. According to the New York Times, Bowman, quote, bought seeds from a grain elevator filled with a mix of seeds in the reasonable hope that many of them contained Monsanto's patented Roundup Ready gene. While those seeds are usually sold for animal feed, industrial uses, or food processing, Bowman planted them and then sprayed his crops with Roundup. While certain plants survived, Bowman would save the seeds for further planting, cutting into Monsanto's profits. Initially, woohoo, Monsanto. Initially, a federal judge ordered Bowman to pay Monsanto over $84,000 for his violation. Right. And
this little farmer.
He fought it all the way to the Supreme Court, a 74-year-old farmer. While Bowman claimed that the concept called patent exhaustion allowed him to use the products as he pleased since he obtained them legally, Kagan, who I believe was the attorney, said it did not apply to the way he used the Monsanto seeds. Quote, under the patent exhaustion doctrine, Bowman could resell the patented soybeans he purchased from the grain elevator. So, too, he could consume the beans himself or feed them to his animals, Kagan wrote for the court. But the exhaustion doctrine does not enable Bowman to make additional patented soybeans without Monsanto's permission, which is what precisely Bowman did. So, I can't even believe what I just read.
Yeah.
Monsanto is giving you permission to eat the food you grow.
Right.
Or to sell the food you grow.
And give him a profit, a piece of it.
I don't know if they have to, do they have to give Monsanto kickbacks? I've never seen
that.
Yeah. You pay them for the
Well, yeah, you have
to give them like a tithe on your crop.
Maybe you don't. Maybe that's not what
future, probably. I've never read anything about that. But they ever find that you did this, you planted them, or your seeds blew over into the next field that had heritage seeds, you better believe they're going to come for their cut of the pie. You get licensing fees.
That's the whole idea. You know, how do you stop stuff from cross-pollinating?
You don't.
You don't.
So anyway, they ruled in favor of Monsanto. This is when the Obama administration, which has tight relationships with Monsanto, wrote an amicus brief. The administration said that the court shouldn't worry about the fact that this decision could have troubling implications for traditional farming techniques. No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry.
You know what? We're trying to make sure all the farmers go under anyway.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Obama doesn't go to work for Monsanto after he leaves office.
He doesn't have his practicing law license anymore.
Didn't it get taken away from him?
So they say, yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Mitchell.
Yep. There.
Mitchell.
Every time I see that face somewhere, I mean, it just turns your stomach. These people are so evil. It's beyond words.
Oh, and very good. Madison actually plugged Nick's March Against Monsanto in the bottom of this article. This article got like 30,000 views yesterday on Facebook. It was pretty amazing. Are you there?
Uh-huh.
Oh, all of a sudden I think my flash just crashed. Oh, so what next? Anybody want to call in? We got probably, I don't know, another half hour.
A half hour, yeah.
Something we can do if nobody wants to call in. Rob posted tons and tons of news last night on Pigmine 4 that I have not gotten to yet, but I did see a few things like Google and NASA team up to research quantum computing.
Yeah.
Oh, let's take that Utah data center a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, human cloning. Venezuela has a toilet paper shortage. You all know, people, when shit hits the fan, toilet paper is going to be worth more than gold.
Yeah.
So I guess it's already coming to that. I don't know, you want to hear that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, hold on, I got to add myself. Oh, wait, I got to kill the feed on my page here so you don't hear us feeding back. And, now I got to dial myself.
Okay, you do that. Don't forget to answer yourself.
Yeah, I know. You got to hate when that happens. All right, here we go. Why, hello, UCY. All right, so Venezuela is having a toilet paper shortage. Let me turn up the volume. And here we go. If it plays. And it's just sitting there with a black screen. Come on. I want to hear about the toilet paper shortage. I did not catch that story last night. It was from CNN. Oh, an error occurred.
Oh.
Please click here to learn more. They're probably going to tell me that I need to update my flash. I don't have it.
2,400 rolls sounds like a lot of toilet paper. But that big a shipment flew off the shelves in just a few hours at this store in Caracas, the Venezuelan capital.
We send each other text messages. I just got one telling me, there's toilet paper, and I left the office running to buy some toilet paper because I ran out.
Some consumers harshly complain they have to stand in long lines for hours just to buy a product they used to take for granted.
This is wrong. This is an oil-rich country where we have no food. The country doesn't even have basic food products to feed its people.
And not enough toilet paper either. So the government announced it will import 50 million rolls, which will begin arriving next week.
Between this Friday and Wednesday of next week, we're expecting a shipment of 20 million rolls of toilet paper, which will allow us to satisfy the demand for 1 week or more.
For years, Venezuelans have suffered shortages of basic food products, even staples like cornmeal. But toilet paper is, in a way, the staple that broke the camel's back. According to the country's central bank, there's a shortage of 21 of every 100 consumer products. And when supplies are down, demand, of course, goes up, and so does inflation, which now stands at 12.5%. At another supermarket, 800 cartons of butter, a dozen containers in each, sold out in a day and a half.
What happens is that people get anxious and try to buy as much stuff as they can.
Socialist policies and the nationalization of several industries have discouraged production, according to this economist.
Fields of production that should be active are not. Some companies no longer produce any products. Venezuela is a country which, for practical and analytical purposes, only produces one thing, oil, which is exported. Everything else has to be imported.
For regular people, the shortage crisis has come knocking on their doors and charged straight into their bathrooms.
Guys, I hate to tell you, but that is our future.
Yeah.
You know, they were talking about how Venezuela doesn't produce anything anymore. They import it all. Well, look at what happened here. Yeah. You know, and one of the things that I was reading about quite a while back is that even if we could produce things, they have this trade thing that goes on where we export things and then we import them in. And it's some sort of, I don't know. I don't even know.
Scam.
Yeah, it is a scam. I mean, why should we be importing stuff that we could produce here ourselves? You know, all this oil and gas production that we make here, we export a lot of that. Did you know that?
Yeah, we do.
And then we import oil in. Why?
Because it's a scam. That's
right, and everybody makes money. We could rub each other's backs with all the big
Did you catch in that thing that all that toilet paper is only going to last a little over a week?
Yeah. How crazy is that?
One of the oil-rich countries, and they have no toilet paper.
And that's all they do is import oil. No, export oil.
Export oil, yeah. Yeah, why do we buy oil from anyone? We have lots of oil here. We don't need to import it from anyone.
Nope, we do not.
It's just all the money, the greed, the control, you know. It's getting very old.
That's what happens, though, when we no longer have any type of industry. We become dependent.
Right. How can they expect the economy to get better when we produce nothing?
Right. And now it's just these social, what are they called? Service jobs. You know, working at McDonald's as a janitor. Woohoo! We created 10,000 of those jobs this quarter. Well, yeah, for $9 an hour.
Well, how about IRS? How many employees are they adding just to handle Obamacare? Thousands.
And why is the IRS going to be running this healthcare program? You know, there was a story yesterday, and hold on one second, I'll find it because I know where I posted it. I have a bunch of pages, and I try to sprinkle them around, but then I think, but I want to talk about that in the morning, so I post them all to my Behind the Curtain page. And then I realized that everything is very skewed because all my other pages don't have any new news, so I start sprinkling it around, and then when I go to talk about it, I'm like, oh, man, where'd I put it?
Where'd you put it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I know where I put this one. I actually put this on the UCY page. This was on the Daily Caller from yesterday, if it loads for me. Here we go. House votes to fully repeal Obamacare. A Republican-controlled House voted Thursday to repeal the Affordable Care Act in its entirety. And actually, Nick posted this on his anti-media page yesterday. That's where he shared it from. He had said this is the third time now that they voted to repeal this. It says, with implementation of Obamacare set to begin later this year, the vote is largely symbolic.
It's just for show.
Yeah, the Senate is highly unlikely to even take up a vote on the repeal. The House voted for repeal 229 to 195, with votes cast almost entirely down party lines. 2 Democrats voted with the Republicans in favor of repeal. Republican Jim Matheson of Utah and Rep Jim Matheson of Utah and Rep Mike McIntyre of North Carolina. This is the third time the House has voted to fully repeal Obamacare, and there have been a number of other votes to repeal parts of it, 37 votes in total. Boner explained last week that he was holding the vote again because new members have been asking for the opportunity to vote on repeal. In the days leading up to the vote, Democrats dismissed the effort as wasteful and unproductive. quote, not only is this a clear waste of time and of taxpayer dollars, like Obamacare does
like
not.
They care.
It is a deliberate vote to eliminate the affordable quality health care benefits millions of Americans are already enjoying, said the House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi during a Capitol News conference. The Obama administration issued a statement ahead of the vote saying, quote, it strongly opposes, unquote, repeal because it would hurt the middle class, and probably 10,000 pocketbooks of people that are waiting for slippery dollars to fall in there. And it would increase the deficit if they repealed it. I'm going to throw a flag.
Oh, God.
It's going to put this on the backs of the taxpayer, people. So anyone who thinks that by repealing this is going to increase the deficit is really delusional. Obama would veto the bill if it passed, he said.
Yeah, it's just for show for these guys to tell their constituents, well, I tried to fight it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And I lost. Yeah, you tried really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking to see if there was anything else interesting. So I'm going to assume that this did not go through. Lawmakers spent the day expounding on the House floor about their various positions, with votes getting pushed off until 6 p.m. Thursday. When they were not orating, members took to Twitter to laud or condemn the law using a hashtag started by the Oversight Committee Chairman Darrell Issa, pound Obamacare in 3 words. The sparring, which I don't know what that means, the sparring got heated, perfectly encapsulating why Republicans are still holding votes to repeal it and why it will never go anywhere with a Democratic president. IRS is in control, tweeted Michelle Bachmann, the sponsor of the repeal bill. Metastasizing malignant tumor, chimed in Iowa Rep. Stephen King. And the White House's response, 3 words, it's period, the period, law period. Ouch.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. Oh.
And that is that. That's
we're stuck with it. Wow. There's just, everything that they tried to do to block it, and even the states individually, it hasn't worked.
This is going to be interesting. Socialized medicine. I can't wait until I get sick and am told that I'm not healthy enough to be saved and they're going to put me on a death panel.
Right. Or people that think that this is going to be free have another thing coming. The least expensive policy is $20,000 a year.
Yeah, it's going to come out of your pocket. I mean, not that you don't pay for health care now, because even with a good plan, you still have to pay every week. Or every 2 weeks, whatever.
Every 2 weeks, right.
But,
there is not going to be no free health care, people. Wake up.
There is no free lunch. Didn't you learn that economics in 7th grade?
Yeah.
That was the one. Caveat emptor. There is no free lunch. My teacher must have said that 10,000 times that semester.
They really need to change the word definition in the dictionary too. Free. There's nothing free.
No, nothing is free.
Period.
Oh, Google stuff is free. Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Look at what we found out now.
Oh, did you see too? Porn can't wait. The porn industry can't wait for Google glasses to come out.
Oh, God.
And they're going to use them just like you think they would.
Oh.
I posted that yesterday.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what. Didn't they have hey, Art from the and he hung up. Art, come on back. Actually, you don't have to call in. If you want to come on, I'll just pull you in. You don't need to call in on that line. Let's pull in Mr. Art. I have to find you, though.
Dancing.
Yeah,
Dancing.
I see him. Yeah. I see him. All right, Art. I see a conversation flashing, so if you don't want to come on, just don't answer the phone. But we're pulling in Art.
Hello, Art.
Good morning, lady.
Good morning, Art. How are you? Long time no talk.
Well, you're the one who took a vacation.
Yeah, I know. I'm back now. It takes me a little while to get back up to speed, but we're trying to get there.
Yeah, that's why I never take a vacation, because if I do, I'm pretty much crapped out for about 3 months.
Yeah. Hey, I see that there's a video about the bags of cash sent to Karzai in Afghanistan.
Really?
What is that all about? The bags, suitcases, and they've been dropping tens of millions of dollars there for years.
Yeah.
Buying poppies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no big surprise there, because remember, back during the Clinton administration, when they had that big hoo-ha going over there with China, and the U.S. had set some battleships over there to try to kind of play the big intimidated, playground bully, to tell China to stand down. Old Charlie Tree made his regular visit to the White House with a nice little bag full of cash for Clinton.
So precedent was set long ago. And I'm sure it happened way before that too.
If one president of one country can send money to the president of the corporation known as the United States, to get them to do whatever they want them to do, why can't the president of the United States send money to the president of another country for the same purposes?
Very true.
After all, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
That is very true. I don't know if anybody saw this, but, we've all been asking, like, with all these distractions, what is it hiding?
Everything.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few things. I mean, we haven't heard anything about the EU, Cyprus, Greece,
Syria.
What the hell's going on there? Syria's a big one. Well, there's an update to Syria. Russian Pacific Fleet warship enter the Mediterranean for the first time since the Cold War.
I heard about that this morning. Yeah.
They say it's not connected, but come on.
Well, you know what it is? They're worried because Putin understands that they have that port over there in Syria. It's very well, regularly used by Russia. It's a major shipping point for it. And they don't want to risk losing access to that, so they gotta make their show for us. And of course, we got old Mr. Biden, not Biden, Mr. Kerry over there trying to finagle his way into the heart of Putin, trying to get him to do something with Syria.
Did you see where Putin left him on the airstrip?
Wasn't that great? That was beautiful.
I loved it. It was good.
Talk about a diss. I mean, that is a major slapdown right there.
No kidding. I mean, he left him out there for like an hour. Just standing there on the runway, nobody around him.
That was funny.
It was.
Well, that just goes to show exactly what some of these countries actually think about U.S. and the policies that this country is shoving up everybody's ass.
Yep, they're tired of it.
Yep.
They're all tired of it. And I don't blame them, Get this, it says broke Detroit agency spends $22,000 to send employees to Hawaii for a conference. How did I still can't figure out how I can spend money I don't have. It's amazing. They have no money, they're broke, they're bankrupt. To me, that means I look in my wallet and there's nothing there. So that means I can't go buy anything or buy gas or food or anything. But yet we keep spending money and we look in our wallets and there's nothing there. So, it's outrageous.
Yeah. And wasn't it just recently, I believe, right?
Avast virus database has been updated.
There it is. There's gotta be on my server, guys. I'm pretty sure that is on my server. I need to make sure that the sound is turned off. I think that the last time I was in there, I actually saw that the sound icon somehow mysteriously turned itself on. Just ignore that. But that was pretty good.
But remember, wasn't it just recently right here on this webpage where the chat is? Remember the article, South Carolina spends, what was it, how many millions of dollars for whatever, and they're absolutely butt-ass broke? I mean...
Like our country? Mm-hmm. Right.
And no matter how broke we are, they keep talking about how bad it is and how broke we are. But yet we still send millions of dollars every year over to Israel and And now, all the money going to the
Afghanistan and, you know.
Can we hear that clip? Can I play this clip about the bags of cash to Karzai? Okay, hold on. Here it comes.
I love this clip. Wait for it.
With you. Last time you and I spoke, you were pretty outraged about these reports that the CIA over the years have been providing bundles, bags full of cash, millions and millions of dollars to Hamid Karzai, the Afghan leader, so he could distribute that money, do with it basically what he wants. You wanted an explanation from the president. You wrote to him. You got no explanation. On Tuesday, you wrote another letter saying these secret payments lack any kind of accountability, encourage the very kind of corruption we're trying to prevent in Afghanistan, and further undermine U.S. taxpayers' confidence in our government. Since my original letter, President Karzai has claimed that the CIA station chief in Kabul assured him the payments will continue. Have you received any reaction, any word yet from the administration about these bundles of cash?
Well, you know, Wolf, 2 days ago we got word from the administration. I'm the ranking member on foreign relations, and one of the missions of the State Department that we oversee is to try to create the rule of law and certainly to fight corruption with the countries that we work with. And I was told that this really was not my business, that this was not in our jurisdiction. Of course, I think it's in all of our jurisdiction, but since that time, I think it's my understanding they decided maybe that wasn't a particularly good response and that they are developing something and are going to send it back. But again, Wolf, Afghanistan is a country that's just wrought with corruption, and this administration has been, I'm talking about the Afghan administration, has had tremendous issues with corruption. It's my understanding that it's possible that not only are these cash payments going to the president of the country, this is a democratically elected president that we deal with and send billions of dollars of money to their country through normal routes. But on top of that, the fact that we're actually taking suitcases full of cash and giving it to this democratically elected leader and possibly to relatives in other parts of the country, to me that is totally the antithesis of the thing that what this country represents. I understand that sometimes when you go into new countries like what we're doing in Syria, I understand there may be routes that we have to take. This is a very different situation and something that, to me, flies in the face of our sensibilities in this nation, and I do want a response. It's been a long time now. This country is getting ready to go through another election in the next year or so, and to me, this is not the way we need to be dealing with the country. I thought John McCain brought up a great point yesterday after I questioned the undersecretary, and that is, what if other countries were doing this? In other words, if we knew that Russia or Iran or some other country was delivering suitcases full of cash to the Afghan president, how would we view that? So I don't know why we're doing this. I want an explanation. And since we talked about this in public, I want a public explanation as to why our country would be engaged in this kind of behavior if we're...
Wow.
And there still has not been no response. No public saying...
No, and that was Senator Corker out of Tennessee. You know, I got to tell you, here's one thing that we were talking about last night. Like, some of these video clips are pretty damning. And this has 3 views, people, and I was just one of them.
Well, here's one of the things that gets me. They have the nerve to tell him that it's none of his business.
I know.
And outside of his jurisdiction, and I'm thinking, hold it just a hot cotton picking second. Isn't this guy a congressman? If it's none of his business, none of his concern, and outside of his jurisdiction, then who the hell is responsible?
I know. No, you guys don't need to know about this.
That's not
we do it. Your tax money is our business.
Yeah. And then,
that's about as bad as you don't need to know what's in the bill just signed.
Well, you don't need to know what's in the food you're eating.
Right. I mean, sorry, yes, I do.
Silly questions. Silly.
Our government is at the helm taking care of us.
Yeah.
Back ahead.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys see the Bloomberg.com accusing us? This is what makes me think that maybe we are like little nasty mosquitoes in the middle of the night. I love it. This is in Bloomberg.com yesterday. Monsanto sees elitism in social media fan opposition. They're writing an article about us being against Monsanto, saying that we are elite. It says Monsanto company opponents who want to block genetically modified foods are guilty of, quote, elitism that is fanned by social media and failed to consider the needs of the rest of the world, said Chief Executive Officer Hugh Grant. Oh, you activists, selfish, nasty activist people.
You mean that we would want our tax money and stuff to go to us instead of the whole world?
Well, we would want to make sure that our food is healthy and not GMO.
Right.
They're saying that the GMO foods are going to feed the world when actually the GMO foods are polluting the gene pool is what they're doing.
If I'm an elitist, I need to do a much better job of balancing my checkbook.
Exactly.
Because it's showing a balance of $10.
Right. $9.99 when you balance it out.
I mean, people are going hungry. They're losing their homes here, and we're sending millions over to some guy in Afghanistan.
Wait, we're sending millions in shopping bags and suitcases.
Right, there you go.
not
in boxes. Yeah, not through the banks or anything, but through the back door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but with us, they want to get rid of cash so they can track every penny that's spent.
Right.
Yeah, and here's something else. I mean, I was watching a thing the other day about Haiti and what Haiti's been going through ever since that hurricane down there that devastated.
Did you hear the Red Cross went there and only stayed there 1 week?
Well, all of our money that we donated disappeared. I sent them a few $100 at the time.
Well, see, here's the thing. I'm watching this, and through the whole thing, Missy's sitting here with me, and we're watching this, and I look over and I say, I don't understand this. We had September 11th comes along, and how many people sent in millions of dollars to help? Where did that money go? Because the victims
didn't go to the victims.
He had all of this money went to Hades. During Katrina, we had FEMA, and they rented out these 3 huge, gigantic cruise ships that never got used. They bought up all of these mobile homes that never got used. And when we do the research, we found out they could have taken everybody from the Katrina incident, took them over there to England and put them in a high dollar 5-star hotel for 1/5 of what they took in. Then we got Haiti. We sent millions of dollars to Haiti, but yet look at the squalor these people are still living in.
Because that money never made it.
None of it, and then they said the Red Cross came, they were there 1 week, and then they kept putting people off, and then they just packed up and left. And how many people put money in, gave money to them? I don't give money to no one anymore except local, where I could see it, because it's just giving them money.
I do for animal places.
And then we send millions of dollars over there to liberate Libya. Mm-hmm. And now we're sending God knows how much over there to Syria to kind of, I don't know, whatever they're trying to do over in Syria. But yet at the same time, we cannot rebuild our own infrastructure. We cannot house our homeless. We cannot feed our hungry.
Right.
Anybody else seeing a problem here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we're out there supposed to be spreading democracy, and all our rights are being taken away daily.
Yeah.
And we're going to fine you through the IRS if you don't have health insurance.
Yeah, and the IRS is going to spy on everything you do. Hey, I got to ask you guys a quick question. All right, we got about 5 minutes before the bumper starts, so I know Zorie has to go to work. Art, you want to hang around? And Chatters, do you want to hang around for another hour? Because I could go probably 1 hour. No?
I can hang you.
You can. All right, so listeners, do you want to listen to another hour? I guess it's up to you.
You want to listen to me for another hour?
Hold on, we got a delay before our sound gets out to the interwebs. But if you want to go another hour, I'll log in and I will, I'll stop the episode of May that's coming up here in about 5, and we'll go until noon. Noon Eastern, 9 Pacific.
Yeah.
What time you start work, Zorie? 10? Oh, stay please.
9.
Oh, so you have to go soon, huh?
Well, yeah, I got up early and took my shower and got dressed and stuff. So yeah, I have to leave a little bit after 8.
Okay. Well, anyone else want to call in? This is, Listener Roundtable Friday. Mr. Jimmy Funky. I mean, it could still also be Funky Friday. We haven't played any funk yet. Wendy, I don't know. Anyone who wants to call in? I even have phone lines here, so I could dial out.
All right, now I'll be leaving, so there'll be an empty slot. You gotta take it up.
So, all right, please continue while I make my programming changes.
Okay.
Anyway, what I was saying was, but yet with all of this, we cannot, house our homeless. We can't feed our hungry. We can't rebuild our infrastructure. We got bridges and railroad systems and all of this, and our roads are potholed and all of this nightmarish bullshit going on. And if you can't, and we're going to fine you if you don't have health insurance. And even though we got no money, we still are going to hire another 1,600 people to work for the IRS to enforce health care policy.
Well, and 600 hackers now for Department of Homeland Security,
And then, did you see where local law enforcement is having to ask their citizens for ammunition because there isn't any available?
I saw that.
Security.
Ain't getting none of mine.
Well, remember though, under that executive order, if they had declared like some sort of state of emergency, which I believe they could take anything. They could take your stored food, your ammo, your car, whatever.
And they can set up your family. They can send you here and your husband or kids somewhere else if they feel the need.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I signed up to be on the grand jury. I mean, here, because there's so much corruption, and unless we get the people out of there that just keep going along with it, things aren't going to change. We got to start changing them in the smaller communities. Get involved in them. I'm really for that. Because when it comes down to it, all you're going to have is your community.
It's true. In the end, that's all there is. Make friends.
Right, because you don't want them against you. You want them with you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.